Yeah, better than the old one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad. You should enjoy your educational experience, and going to a school that you don't like
Yeah.
Yeah, you
can
need
be
to get
kind
an
of rough.
education.
Well,
Yes, the edu. Oh, she was giving you the. Wow,
Yeah, 10 going on 27.
you got again. I was highly suggest you getting two shotguns.
Oh, that's we're covered.
You might want to just look into that. Yeah. So, um, how are things overall?
Not bad. Life's been things have been pretty crazy, like crazy good, not crazy bad. Um, um, just complete 180 from everything that was going on before. Had a couple of small setbacks. As I mentioned the other day, I'm looking for a new vehicle.
Ooh.
So yeah, I wasn't. I haven't been in the auto market in a while, so it's actually pretty crazy how expensive a vehicle is now.
So the even used, huh? They're all up there.
So I was looking at a used truck. Um, so 2018 to 2022 sort of thing, with lower mileage, like under 100,000 kilometers or 120,000 kilometers, was roughly around 600 to almost 800 biweekly.
in my room, I was getting ready.
That's wow. Uh,
Like a like a brand new F-150 here will cost you over 100 grand.
150 grand.
Oh, 100 grand at least. And that's the thing too, is like, do I want to make that commitment in a economy that's kind of unstable?
And used, you're still kind of looking pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, at least I know. I do a lot of work on my trucks myself, but I know a fair amount of mechanics that take a look at stuff. Getting the extended warranty and all that stuff obviously helps. In this case, it does help when you're buying used, but still,
Yeah.
it's a crapshoot. So right now, I'm looking at a truck that's um, a, a diesel. Even though diesel's more expensive in the long run, it's going to still be better as far as mileage is concerned.
That's just wow. Yes, folks, if you're watching tonight, we're just going to be kind of keeping this open dialogue. If there's anything you would like us to talk about, by all means, suggest a topic.
What about you? What's going on?
Yeah, playing fires, just like just so sick of it. Like I don't get paid the freaking it's like WPM is it's really going well. It really is. Like just past 2 years inception. You know what I mean? In 2 years, we've done really well, really grown. Our, how we're viewed is positive. We got a, really good track record, reputation. Oh, that's good. But just some of the stuff, I got to just deal with like that doesn't make, have headlines or all that, but you got to get your hands in there and you got to deal with it. And it's distracting. Yeah.
I've I've belonged to many organizations over the years, and I always find there's always going to be one or two people that, for whatever reason, they want to create some sort of drama, or they start, just start crap. It's the
Yeah.
best way for me to put it. And I think a lot of people need to remember, and well, I'll say that it's a hobby, right? Just because you're doing certain things doesn't mean you're some sort of straight up killer, or that you know best, or people keep talking about this is the way you fight, but they never pressure tested it. It just makes me insane.
yeah, like it's like it's almost the analogy like you're looking at, where you were initially talking about, used cars and getting, and then it's like you wouldn't purchase without test driving it, et cetera, right? So it's like you're taking somebody who's just showing stuff. Oh yeah, well he knows he's, and yet you never see an interaction with them, another person. That's why I don't post a lot publicly, but those who are under me, like in the groups, they've seen my stuff with other students and that, um, for, one for a measuring stick and two to validate like what I'm showing and talking about. I don't see any other way really.
It has to do with the individual as well, though, Dean, because the reality is this: there's always going to be trolls out there.
Mm,
But if you're getting trolled to the point where it's like ad nauseum, like every single day, maybe it's time to take a look at what you're actually doing.
mm, yeah,
Like,
like I mean, like you said, there's gonna be those people that are just, they just got nothing better to do. They're just gonna, I mean, like I mean, we've gotten WM, we've gotten it from the other side there. I mean, matter of fact, just recently on YouTube, I had to block somebody on YouTube because they were making comments, which is why Lloyd back in the day put that thing in there that Nigel students couldn't harass him anymore, that court order, because Nigel students were harassing Lloyd and his students way back, and that has resurfaced with the absence of Lloyd. So there's a guy that had a block, but I am bringing this up to substantiate your point. There's some folks there that are just going to, they got to troll, whether it's they're doing it because, oh, I'm doing it for my leader, or they just got nothing better to do. I'm sure there's a plethora of reasons. I don't know.
that's another thing that drives me crazy. Like, my leader, that worship thing. Like,
Yeah,
like,
like I'm going to go defend him. Like this guy who I've never seen him move. He's under Nigel. Never seen him move. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't move well. I'm just saying I've never seen him move. And I don't even think he's an instructor. And this guy will just will just make comments on us and everything. And I'm just thinking like, and I'm just thinking like, well, first of all, you probably don't even do it. Yeah, it's just weird. I don't know. It's just a weird
well,
dynamic.
I'll say this. Like, for example,
Right?
when it comes to Dog Brothers, I will defend it. Uh, you know, I will I'll go to bat for that because, and I'm talking about individuals, like the whole concept of being a Dog Brother and the tribe idea of being a Dog Brother. For me, that's something I'll always defend. But when people say, "Well, did you hear what so and so, like one of the elders or whatever, said?" Like, if it's their personal page, like their political nonsense has nothing to do with me. I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just like there's some diehard people out there. It's like, "Oh, I got to defend him because they said something about so and so." Well, you don't. They're an adult. Like if you want to defend the concept that the group that you belong to because it is a very special group, then yeah, cool. But this whole thing that I got to defend my leader, no, no, no. They're old enough.
Especially if they're putting something that's polarizing with today's climate on there. You know what I mean? Like, in today's climate, if you're going to do that, I mean, you got to be able to, that's why, I'm spending less time on Facebook with the exception of interviews and when I post in groups. I don't really scroll down the walls anymore because it's just like, it's either I'm watching somebody doing something that, because, obviously, by now in life, I'm a functionalist.
Mhm.
I don't I don't do the gimmicks. I don't believe in doing stuff unless you got to show it through a training partner. So I just don't have time watching stuff. That's why I just don't. So not to complain. I
Well,
just
I don't know if it's trolling, but if I think something is garbage, I'll tell somebody if they're putting their stuff out there. Yeah.
yeah yeah yes.
I just recently watched a video. Um, and it was along the lines of that, like one of those Serrata videos, where they're just kind of doing tap things which make no sense. But the person and don't Nick, I'm not taking a shot at you. Um,
It's true,
But
Brian.
it was like that one video that was out about the one of the woman that was training, and there was no context behind it. People tearing her apart. It was the same thing with I saw a video recently where uh, there was a group of people training, and they did a bunch of stuff, and it was like absolute nonsense. And it's like this is how you stop a stick from coming in, and you put your hand out there, and you do this, and it's like, and I'll only say it because I've had experience in that field where I say that will never work,
Yeah.
right? And it makes me crazy. It makes me crazy, and I hate to say it, but I'm seeing my dog's going crazy. But I'm seeing that a lot from groups I used to belong to, like a lot of the JKD groups are doing now, where it's like,
There's something really going on over there. I'm seeing like some of the stuff that's coming into Dwight's, and folks are commenting on like Dwight's got a very big group there as far as JKD, and just again, I'm not scrolling down. As I open up, I see the first few, but what I'm seeing where I was scrolling down that's been popping up as of late has been JKD related. So I don't know what's going on over that community. So
yeah, it's like this is what Bruce really wanted. Really, like,
mm,
who are you? Did you know Bruce? No, shut up. It's like,
exactly, yeah. And with the knife, Tony, it's just getting just freaking like
Oh, here it is, River.
people kind of what you should do, and they're not showing anything with a partner. And I'm just like,
yeah, let's get rid of it's what are the terms that they use? It's like not having technique, but you're doing the wrong technique when you're doing this. It's like that stuff makes me crazy. Or then people that have to justify, it's like, I want to make it clear, I am Jeet Kune Do, but I am the real Jeet Kune Do because of I do A, B, and C. It's like it's um, it's kind of Krav Maga-ish in some ways, where it
I think
was like
about the community.
like 10 years ago. I remember when, and I'm not crapping on some. Well, I'm trying not to crap on the Krav Maga guys, but it was like the real Krav Maga comes from this guy, and it doesn't come from that guy, and it's just you're doing this. And my thing is this: if I punch someone and it lands and it hurts, then my technique is pretty good.
Regardless of what they are, right? But it's like, yeah, it's just, I know it. Yes, I've been really avoiding just scrolling down or anything like that. It's actually been just healthier, and it's also less distracting because I
Hmm.
can just focus like what I need to do, and which is always doing something to improve status quo. But yeah,
The one thing
I
I'll say
think
is this: like even with some of my very close dog brother friends that I speak to on a regular basis, a lot of them have like very different political views than I do, but they keep it to themselves. Like when it comes to we're back in the group, that's never brought up, and I think that's a great thing because I'm seeing that in some groups as well. It's like, oh no, I'm the left side and I'm the right side. I'm a liberal. I'm a Democrat. I'm a Republican. No, it's like,
so I don't see that in WPM, which is thank God, which is nice. Yeah, knock on wood. Yeah, yeah, no, I just should. Yeah. Um, yeah, I just think it's going to get worse. It's funny. Like like I've been thinking, which as of late, like how much longer am I going to keep doing this? Like running WPM and this and that, and uh,
well, I think the reason that it's as successful as it is, and the lack of politics, is because a person like you is leading it. And regardless, and it's like I always say this to the guys who are retiring from stick fighting: the people who once you retire, it doesn't mean your journey's over. Like you're helping guide people, keep people on those railroad tracks. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. It's just going to be it's going to be a crap show, right? And I think that's the thing you got to do is like
you know,
regardless of what your involvement, what you want it to be, you need to be in a position where you can still kind of like help people out and just say, no, this is not the. There's nothing wrong with saying, no, this is not the way, or no, we don't do that. That's not what we do. Like I remember, there's been a couple of times where we're doing ascensions for Dog Brothers and people who fought, and they fought phenomenally well. Like they kicked everybody's ass, but they didn't ascend. And when people are like, "Well, why didn't that person ascend?" Because they haven't reached a certain amount of gatherings it takes to get to that spot, right?
Yeah, like
So
your guy, it's yeah. That's. I mean, I just think it's going to get worse. I'm seeing it get worse, and what I mean by getting worse, to be more specific, is people are enamored by what they're seeing people do on a bob or a bag. And I always make it very clear and distinct with my students. Hey guys, I'm just showing you this so you know how you can do solo. And I make it, okay, here's some solo training you can do. But you want to take this solo training and then you want to bridge it to when you get with your partner. And that. And so, okay, I froze there for a bit. I'm back. But what I'm seeing is I think it's, in other words, the clickbait, the likes, the comments. I'm seeing more people gravitating towards the other. And I'm not saying I'm necessarily right. It's just something I've noticed, which kind of made me stop scrolling anymore down the wall. Cause it's just getting like, I'm just like, have you tested this? This is a theory that you're saying. Like,
people don't want. I think I think it takes a special type of person who wants to go out there, like even just get in the ring with somebody else and just say, okay, let's go. Let's I trust you enough that I'm gonna put myself in there, and if you hit me, you knock me out. Good on you. I think a lot of people don't want that anymore. They like the idea of training. They like the idea of telling their friends, "Hey,
mhm.
I take WPM, or I was thinking about going. Honestly, I could probably send you hundreds of messages that people send me about, hey, I want to go to a gathering. What do I need to do? And I tell them step by step, A, B, C, D. This is what you got to do, and they never show. It's and maybe, and who knows what happened. I can't comment on what's going on in their lives, but I think it's just it's a nice idea until it's time when it's like skydiving is a great idea until the Cessna door opens and you got to put your foot on the
Door
wheel and
open
jump
and
out.
you're like, hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know,
Yeah, no, I
I
agree.
I did a jump with a T10 chute, and I was the first guy in the line, and reality hit me when that door opened. It was like, oh, I get it now, right? Or the first time I went into a ring and I got my bell rung off a jab. It's like, oh, this is real.
Yeah, this is,
Um,
oh,
and this is honestly one of the reasons that I absolutely love Muay Thai,
mm,
boxing, and BJJ because you can't lie about it.
no, especially like you either getting mauled on the ground, held in a position, or you're tapping
Oh yeah,
out.
you can tell people you're amazing until someone put
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know the whole murder yoga thing. And
right.
I got to be honest with you, like, so my son just started. My son's 7. He just started BJJ. He's going a month in now. It's amazing. He comes home. He's got bruises on him, and he's like, "Daddy, just see what I did to the other guy." He's just really into it, right?
Okay, yeah.
And thing I absolutely love is he's not allowed to speak when he's in class.
Mm,
He's not allowed to, like. There's no fooling around, and it's like, man, that reminds me of when I first started training. And good on the teacher that he has.
absolutely.
And I don't see that anymore. Like when I was still teaching at some of the bigger schools, it was like a social thing. I had to tell people, hey, like, shut your mouth. Like,
Yeah, I think it's going across the board. Yeah, like yeah, and it goes not, and not
my brother,
everywhere.
we
Not
can
every,
say it like this. And I wasn't at your last seminar in Toronto, but I remember when the first time you came down, there were people at your seminar who are, high ranking, who chose to talk with their buddy the entire time the seminar was going on.
yeah,
And I just sit there and I'm like, why did you pay to come here?
yeah.
We could have just met. We could,
Some of them. Do you know why?
oh, Oh,
Their
it's pretty
development,
obvious.
their attribute development was so poor, was so poor that um, that's why I always start out with moving around because I take a survey of the room to see where they are at their baseline as far as attribute development in there. And
There's nothing worse than having to, like I can't stand it when people do that. Like I've been at gatherings where I was, the day before, the day after, where they asked me to teach a seminar or a 4 hour class, and there's some people that were there that were super high attributes who were far beyond anything I know, and they took the class, and I was like, that to me is a martial artist, right? And then you have people who think
that's
they
right.
know more,
I
who
pick up
just
a
sit
gold
there and
or
want to talk crap, or they want to put in their 2 cents every 3 seconds, you know.
something.
And
Yeah.
I've told some instructors in the past, like, shut up, like, just be respectful of the people around you.
Yeah. My attitude is okay, you paid to come here. I'm not going to babysit you and tell you how you should conduct yourself here. You're either going to try to get something out of this, or you just go to talk with your friends and all that. And I will donate and dedicate my time to the ones who are vested and have questions, who really want to get something out of this. Because, yeah, that's kind of how I just look at it. And I know the folks you're talking about that first time. It was very nice of them to come. And I did thank them because I was definitely appreciative that they did come and still am to this day. But when I looked at them moving around, I'm not surprised that they were talking with their friends. They couldn't hit the side of a barn with their eyes open as far as their accuracy and development. I mean, and these guys were instructors. I'm not going to say the system. You know the system. But yeah.
Well, sorry, I'm just cleaning my camera. I think it's nice. I think it's great that you're such a nice person, but I'm not. And I'd rather have them not show up,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I find that more. And literally, I was just going up to them, just staring at them like, guys, like, why are you here?
But do you notice though, they didn't show up the second time?
Yeah.
Because they knew, because they would, in other words, but it kind of coincides what we were just talking about, where it's going. In other words, okay, I can get my instructor. I could just do this on this guy and, do show this stuff. And like people are reluctant to experience failures or be held accountable or just fail, period, in something. And I'm telling you, I'm seeing less and less people showing, like, I put in Blade Tech, like, well, you've seen it. Like, I put this, stuff in there, and I don't just put it out there because I just don't feel like doing it. But I think it's going by the wayside, with the exception of you just mentioned, BJJ, boxing, Muay Thai, with those three. But everywhere else, I just think it's JKD. Those guys even spar anymore? Or is it just a collection of techniques that are just gathering? I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying
I,
I know.
I'll say this, and I studied that art for like 20 plus years, amongst the other stuff I was doing. And I remember back in the early 80s being afraid of going to my class, like physically being afraid, like sitting in my car on my bike, my motorcycle, and being afraid of walking through those doors because I was going to get the hell kicked out of me for 90 minutes. And then speaking to some of the people who still train with some of the groups that I used to train with, and they're like, we haven't sparred in years or months,
I think
and,
it's just
and
to
or
me.
hard spar, like really test it.
Yes, go like I remember when I was going through my JKD certification in late 90s, 2000s. It wasn't even a question mark. They were sparring. It wasn't even like, hey, are we sparring today? At the end, there was something we were doing. It was either an isolation or it was an all out. But it was you were doing something, you know.
Well, I'll say it like the tricky bastards out of Vancouver. Like, if you are grading to be part of their group, like to be an instructor or trying to rank up, you have to fight. It's not a I'm thinking about it. Like, you show up, and then the entire group, and all the instructors have to beat on you, and you
Yeah.
have to survive. And I think
Here's a
that's, I don't care what people think. If you think it's extreme or whatever, to me that's necessary, because at least you know that the person who you're
It's a
who you're
fight
going to be
chain.
training with.
Here's one for you, and it's going to parallel what you just brought up. So Burton, as you know, came out with his KI program a couple years back. Heavily, everything Burton does, you have to spar, like everything you have to show and demonstrate. And it's a big program. The KI program, it's a big program. It's one of his bigger ones. He sold a lot of them. I can't tell you exact number. It's the one I helped him with and why. There are very few that are actually doing the whole program through A through Z. And my guess is because, you actually have to like get in there. I mean, if I had to guess, I mean, I don't,
Well, I think, we spoke about this as well. I think Burton is probably one of the very few, and I mean that, one of the very few. I've seen Eric Paulson do it, sort of thing, that will do something out of pressure treating motion. He'll show you videos like, oh, this, because, it's not like, it's another pet peeve of mine when somebody would post a fight videos, like a guy gets jabbed across the head, and then
Mm.
some guy shows how to throw a jab in a bag. Like, who cares? Shut up. But Burton is one of the few people that I've seen that will
Yeah.
post a video on how a technique, somebody doing a technique in a fight, and then he pulls it off while sparring and shows how it's done.
Yeah. No, Bert, that's just why I'm with him because not only he's obviously well versed and accomplished, the way he conducts himself, the way he handles himself, his organization, and what you just touched upon, yeah, it backs
Yeah,
it up.
and just to touch on what Jeremy just said, that whole empty cup mentality. Um, the problem I think with what's going on is it's turned into a chalice, not a cup, and people are throwing so much garbage in there that it's not turned into a fighting art anymore. It's just like I always equate it to the salesman, right? Like if you give a salesman a simple pitch, they'll be able to get that pitch out 1,000 times and get some sales. You start throwing more things at them, like, "Hey, now you get 10% off," or "Have you
Hey,
tried this color?"
you do
Now
this
all
for
of a
30
sudden,
years. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, all of a sudden now your 30-second pitch is 5 minutes and people have lost interest.
They
And
lost you after the first minute.
it's the
Yeah.
same thing from in my opinion, it's the same thing with fighting. It's like it's pretty simple. Pick up rock, smash head. It doesn't pick up rock. See what kind of rock it is. Is this granite? I believe
God,
this is a meteorite. Do you think Bruce would have used this? No, I better put it back and look for some clay because I need to mold this. It's like shut up. Like seriously, what are you talking about?
yeah, I just think it's going down like in the stick when you start getting into like, obviously, I see, well, as far as when I say I don't scroll down my wall, I do, however, see what's coming in after the discussion. And they're not breaking the rules. So I have to, I, I don't have to, but I elect to put stuff in there. I mean, three-quarter of it is it's just guys just showing what they do in the air, or if they are doing something on somebody, it's really um, there's no resistance, or and the knife stuff that's coming in there is just I bite my tongue all the time. But I just say, look, they're not breaking the rules, don't, but it's awful. It's
Uh,
awful.
the knife, the gun. Like I remember Adam, who we've had on the show.
Yeah.
We talk about he and I have spoken about some of the stuff that's going on with people with firearms and stuff like that. It's like, first of all, what situation are you getting yourself into that you have to, you know, do that kind of stuff?
Mm.
And two is like, I don't know. It's just it's insane. It's like it's pure madness. Like you're endangering the people around you.
But it get worse because a lot of people dig this. You know, they, you know what I mean. So when these people are getting these likes, getting comments, and the majority of them are good, well, guess what? They're going to keep
Yeah, and
posting.
Tim, there obviously is going to be exceptions to like some groups that do a lot more fighting and pressure testing. The reality though is I don't see a lot of them, and maybe some of them are just quiet, which is fine. And I think at the end of the day, if you and your group get together and really push each other, I think that's a great thing because you're actually learning what works. But
Mm.
what I'm seeing a lot of these days, and Dean and I have talked about this. I think it's probably about a good 5 minutes of every conversation he and I have. It's the ego that goes on with some of the stuff, right? It's like watch. I remember this is going back like early '90s. I was getting together with some guys, and we're going to an island close to where I live, and we were just beating each other up. It was just like we didn't have money for fencing masks. We were just like literally stick fighting without masks. It was ridiculous, stupid. And then all of a sudden, I started hearing from the guys, "Oh, you're really good, and you should do that." And then this started changing the ego, like the culture of the group, to the point where we like the guys stopped fighting. Like I walked away from it. I was like, "This is nonsense."
Yeah, no, I know. And here's the thing though. If the people are claiming they're doing the art and they're having fun with all that, you know what? God bless you.
Yeah,
My argument's always been that you are advocating to community that this is what's going to work, and everything you do or talk about is from above or like that. But if you are like you're doing the art and it keeps you going, it keeps you stress free, and you're loving, and you're enjoying it, and you're like, man, I think that's fantastic. I think that's great. Yeah, so
it's
my
very
argument
different. It's
is
like
not.
I remember the first time Lonely and I, like Benjamin and I, really got a chance to hang out. Um, we were talking about
That's a good
how
point.
he got training partners because he was doing all this like video stuff. And then he
Mm.
went around his town with like posters saying looking for fighting partners, right? Because he genuinely wanted to test it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I think to me that's um, it's a lot purer, I guess.
It's true too. Like, but no here. I mean, like, if you don't have a training partner, like, yeah, and you got to do the best you can, but you want to do something. Okay, I mean, I have empathy for that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Oh,
yeah,
and yeah, you're right. Solo training is better than others, and than
that
nothing.
I
But
totally, 100%.
but we're not
Yeah,
discussing solo training. We're talking about people who go around saying that, you know, that they're badasses, yet they've never pressure tested it, right?
and again, this is where I have to be careful because sometimes I always check myself. Am I being a little too much? Am I being too opinionated? And this is why I'm really pulling myself back as of late and just not, because I don't want to be seen as the guy who's, you know, checking on things and policing. I mean, nobody has any right to police, and so, but with that being said, when it comes to the weapon stuff, there's just the stuff you see. It's just like,
You're not policing it, but I think after you put in a certain amount of time, like you've been in martial arts for what, 5, 10 years?
I just past 36 months,
36 months. No,
36.
I think if you've been at it for a while, it's not like you're saying it out of your own ego. Like you're not trolling the person. You're just saying, I see
No,
something here which
no,
doesn't make any sense to me.
no. Yeah, I definitely don't troll. I don't partake in that. Matter of fact, even when I'm being trolled, I try to still try to be the better person, so to speak. Yeah.
I fell into that because for a while there, I really enjoyed trolling people. And then
Oh
after
my
a while, I
god,
realized I'm not getting anything out of this. Like all
true.
I'm doing is just like, this is just a toxic BS that I'm getting involved in. And then,
Yeah,
because at first I thought it was hilarious.
too.
I used
Yeah,
to, there's been a few JKD forums. I'm not going to say who they are. Um, it's in and around the woods. And I made a few comments. And then it's like, attack the non-believer. Um, let's send him private messages. And it's like, guys, like, what did I say that was wrong? Like, what you're doing is not working.
but yeah, and that's another thing too. Where you're getting critique versus criticism. In other words, I might ask you, "Hey, I'm just wondering, like, why are you doing that?" And all of a sudden, I've done that FM discussion, and wham, like they think you're criticizing. No, I'm critiquing. I'm just wondering why you would do it this way and perhaps not this way. I'm genuinely curious, but that what is a critique to me, they're taking as criticism, and
Yeah, and again, I guess maybe some of the things I take too personally. Like, there's been a few times where people post a video of some week half tournament, and It's like, guys doing 10,000 Abanicos and jumping around and, hey, I admire your cardio. But don't, and then the heading is like two warriors fighting for, the whatever championship. And I was like, it's just, I can just see the guy with the counter seeing who does the most with ticks, right? Like, I don't really see,
Oh, because they're doing the points,
yeah.
right? Yeah, 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 guys. And like Brian said, guys, and this is why I'm so careful with this. I'm just so careful not to be misconstrued or taken the wrong way. Because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what I think. Like everybody else, we all have our value system, our opinions, and that. But when it comes to knife, I am a little more vocal, particularly on the defensive end, because that's where I put most of my time in. And some of the stuff I see, I'm sorry, it's going to get people killed. I don't do that anymore because I don't want to hurt people's feelings. And what's the point? You're going to argue with somebody halfway across the world, and you're not going to change it. It's just pointless.
No, if
So
anything, you're giving them the soapbox to stand on, right? And
yeah,
their voice gets just a little bit bigger.
yeah.
Like, like I watched some of these.
Those are
Um,
oh my God, those are Filipinos eating. They're sensitive and thin.
so
Uh,
one of the things that really bothers me is when people have, like the knife flow videos. It's like, yeah, you cut the guy across the leg, and then when he reaches for his leg, you cut his neck, and then when he grabs his neck, you stab him in the kid. It's like, what are you guys talking about? Like, I don't know. I'm not a expert on knife attacks. I've sure seen a lot of them and been involved in a couple, in as a receiving end. Well, I'm gonna put it that way. And there was not that kind. There wasn't that kind of thought. There was no process like that. It was they are trying to end somebody, and that's why the weapon got deployed. And it wasn't as studious as it is with some of the stuff, right? Like, oh, if you want a guy to stop, if you get a chance to pull your knife out as well, if you cut them once, you'll know that you really mean it. It's like, what? What are you talking about?
this is a
Like,
yeah. No, I know what you mean, and I'm not. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. This is a good point Seth's bringing up. Do you feel morally and ethically obligated to call them? I used to do that, Seth. I used to have a group like the mid 2012 to 2016 called Blade Technologies, believe it or not. And it got to 1,000 people, and there was blade centric people. I mean, there was some sex stuff in there, but it was mostly. And then I just got sick of freaking arguing with people, and to the point of where, like, who the hell was I to tell them what they should and shouldn't do? It got distracting. I was arguing with people. I wasn't really getting anywhere. I didn't change anybody's mind. It really just became toxic.
no,
I,
Maynard has a good point, and it's funny. I've met people who,
what's he saying here? I always find people who show knife killing stuff psychopathic and narcissistic. Yeah, yeah. Well, in WPM, we've been very fortunate, Maynard, that we have a very good group of people, and
well,
uh,
what's crazy though is that you'll have someone from the right side of the tracks, if you want to call it that, and people who've had a normal life, and then all of a sudden they get a knife in their hand, they start learning a couple things, and all of a sudden they have to be that poet, the poet that tells you what life is like. And then now when they talk, they gotta pause about what they're showing you because they know the truth and you don't. If there was a way for me to teleport my hands through the screen and grab onto their necks and pull them on my side, it makes me crazy. It makes me, and these are people who I've met before. Who, when I first met them, were like, "Oh, this is all new to me" and stuff like that, right?
and then they got philosophical on you.
Or they just start like, it's like, dude, like you're an accountant, you're not a killer.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother aspect of this conversation. We're hobbyists at the end of the day. None of us are going to war. I don't have anybody in WPM that's about to get deployed. I have people in WPM that were, and Evan, Brent, and it could be others. If I'm forgetting them, please, I apologize. But none of us are going anytime soon.
I'm not saying it doesn't give you the tools to defend yourself. That's not what I'm saying. I just and you know, a lot of the people I know who are heavily trained are less likely to get. They do literally like I don't want to on a legal aspect. You know, it's like,
On legality, like owning your house and your bank account.
dude, I didn't sleep for 3 or 4 days once when I thought I was gonna get busted. Right? It was just like it was
It's
insane.
the
Actually,
civil,
probably more than that. And then the stress it put on my family
your
too. It's
family, exactly, right? Yeah,
But
that's
again, I'm not saying
right.
that just
That's
because you train doesn't mean that you can't defend your family. It just stop talking like you're some sort of operator. You know, you're not.
just like man,
Like you know, look at a guy like Adam. That dude's the real guy. Like he's a real thing. He
like
doesn't
Brent,
talk like he doesn't talk like that.
Brent Evan, right?
And yeah, you know, like there's Brent. Like these are people who will twist you into a pretzel and make you, you know, like forget your name. Um, and then honest, you know, and then they don't talk like that. They're just dudes that you just chat with. But you know, deep down inside, they're
Yeah,
willing to do some evil things to you.
yeah, but we're hobbyists, and we want to perfect what we do. We want to be better versions of ourselves, not just from a physical dimension, but we want to be better people. So we try to surround ourselves with like-minded people, or we should at least, especially in there. But none of us are going to battle.
No, I think that's where martial artists and certain arts are their own worst enemy. I think that's what keeps people away from FMA. To be honest with you, I think the that whole like look at me, you know, like
Yeah,
I
by
have a
virtue of twirling a stick and all that, that means like, well, then they can do that in real time against real adversity, right?
and I think honestly that's been one of our on the Dog Brothers side for me. What I feel has been one of our detriments is that we're too like lackadaisical about it. Like we don't. It's like yeah, we get together and we hurt each other. It's not like we are the pinnacle fighting.
Oh my gosh.
Insert dramatic pause.
Yeah, and this is why I just so careful with these conversations because, like, I don't want to rain anybody's parade. You know what I mean? Like, and being a group leader, like running, like WPM, for instance, I have to lead by example. So I can't tell you how many times I'm like, I'm telling you, because I can't. Because they're like, hey, man, what's going on with Dean, man? Like, geez, like, that's not him. So I'm telling you, there are times at my house, I'm just like, ah, like, you know what I mean?
I've had to. I've had to like block people's content or them outright just because of the cringe part of it,
Oh, so for health, mental health.
and and I just you know like I've tried having conversations with people like even people who do it who are if you want to influencers or whatever, and I
Mm.
sit there and I'm like, hey, like that thing you did the other day, like you actually believe that? It's like, well, it's for views and this, that, and the other. I'm like, but yeah, but
10,000 views.
yeah, but this is you know you're putting it out there like it's real life. It's like no, it's fake. It doesn't work that way. And it's like, are they delusional or am I not getting it? Is there something wrong with me? Possibly wrong, something wrong with me. But
It's all,
it's like
like very specific context to what you're posting and like, so there are no gray areas, so to speak, or where things can get misconstrued. You know what I mean? It's just
there's an
amazing.
FMA CLAT guy who I know quite well, and he's actually a very talented martial artist. But lately, I had to like again just get rid of him. Just he posts these videos of him doing some crazy disarm or stick thing, and just before he does an impact, it slows the camera down, so you can't actually see the speed that it's going at or what's happening. And then it's always he ends the video with like he turns and he looks at the camera like it,
You're gonna when we get off, you're gonna have to send me the name. I don't know if I don't think I know who you're.
it makes me crazy. And I don't know. And sometimes when I ask people, I ask them, just out of curiosity, because I'm a friend, I know them, and I'm like, hey man, like, what's up with that? Is it a drill? Like, what's the context behind it?
Yeah, yeah. Like if I put out, like I would want somebody to tell me. No, it might. And I'm gonna be honest. It might not be what I want to hear, but I'm centered enough where I would appreciate somebody like telling me, "Hey, Dean, man, I don't know." Like Nick did that one time. I wasn't under the best weather, and I did, and it wasn't really. And I'm to this day, I'm so glad that Nick actually said something and did something. So I think it's a good thing at times people can do that. It's for the
Yeah.
views. Yeah, the views, the views.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brent Pierce, another excellent comment.
Who's this guy, Brent? Get called in front of a grand jury and you will make sure you take a deadly force deployment lately. Yeah. Yeah, I know. And then you put your family. Yeah, like, come on. Like, who? Over a hobby?
Over
Somebody
words. How
this
many
person.
people now are like they threaten each other over words? Like that to me is also like if someone calls me an asshole, like whatever, I know that I am. So it's not like I'm gonna get really upset about it. Um, if someone keeps pushing my buttons, obviously there's been times, especially when I was younger, where I had no problems getting in my car and driving to a state. It just I was a little bit crazier back then.
Family and, like, you got, like, for instance, there was an incident that happened to me a couple days ago. Um, now how there's two lanes and they kind of come into one. And I was kind of coming up here and like I didn't cut the guy off. There was nowhere even close to where there was going to be an accident or anything. He was just mad because I got in front of him. Didn't cut him off. I didn't have this grand plan of like trying to get in front of this guy, and he is flipped out. He is head out the window. Now I got my kids with me, so I'm just like set an example for them. I'm not gonna get involved. I'm not going to argue with this guy. I just keep driving. And it's a main road, so I can't say he's following me because it is a main road. And so we get to the stoplight, and I'm not, so he pulls up beside me, and he goes off to the right, and it's just this, like he's going to grab me out of the car and this and that. And I'm looking at him, he's like smaller than me. Not that means anything. But I have my kids, and I'm just thinking like I can't just act like an idiot in front of them. I'm trying to set an example. Like, this is what you guys do when you have something like this. You just ignore them. But I'm not going to say it was easy. I got my kids and this guy's like, saying a bunch of stuff he's going to do, this and that.
I,
But
I've I've
level
had
headed.
two. Yeah, I've had two like that. One was with my kids in the car. We're going somewhere in the morning, and the person in the other car started calling me names, and I started laughing, and the kids were laughing too. And I was just telling my kids how the person has mental health issues, and
This
and
guy,
deep down inside, I was not feeling that. Deep down inside, the fuse was lit. Right, I was like, uh, and the
I'm
other one
thinking, like,
was
this guy had his car, and he came to my car with my kids in there. Like, I know I come across very calm and
no,
collected,
no, no,
but
no.
kid, like, that's where this
Honestly,
changed.
Dean, if it wasn't for the vodka you drink out of that water bottle, I don't know what the. No, but I remember. I think I told you this is going back a couple of years when I went to go pick up my kids at a day camp, and I cut a guy off accidentally, and the guy was like, on my ass, back off, going around me, and we stopped at a stop sign. I was like, dude, I made a mistake, and he's like, F you, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that. I'm like, all right, dude, and I drove, and I was just like, and I could feel like the cold coming in, and I could feel like my heart pounding and all that stuff. And I pulled into the parking lot where I was, the
Mm,
parking lot next to where I got to pick up my kids. And the guy pulled in, and I remember just jumping out of the car, and I guess uh, whatever message my body gave off was enough for the person to, call me an a hole and just keep driving.
I'm telling you, it's
I
like,
may
man,
have said a couple things as well, like what I was going to do to them, but at that point, we're talking about a 10-minute, follow me around, and
yeah,
then
you got
decide to go where my kids picked up. And I think that was a switch for me. As soon as they decided to get into the parking lot where I'm picking up my kids,
to
at that
tell
point I was like, okay, by the time I call the cops, whatever. But still,
yeah,
it's
if he got out of that car, I'm telling you, that would have been a totally different game for me, you know. And so here's Seth. I've never had that happen while driving low. Well, Seth, because your head is bumping into the top of the car, so they probably see that you're
what
significant.
you should buy, and I think that'd be the best thing in the world. It kind of reminds me when I used to pop my mouth guard in when I was bouncing, and people would just like cool down. You should
They're
buy a
just,
smart car, and then when you get out of the smart car, you're this giant
oh my god,
human being.
that's funny. What do you guys think of playing? I just want to make sure I'm understanding his question here. Okay, sometimes creativity shows up in playing FMA. Yeah, absolutely. And sure, it isn't realistic, but it still could be good training. Playing is great for no, absolutely no. Yeah, yeah. And I hope again, this is why I'm just so reluctant. I don't want to come across like playing's not good. Yeah, I mean, we play in WPM to find our nuances and our flavor. So 100% on that. Yeah, absolutely. Playing is great. Yeah, and I'm sorry if I came across where I was saying playing's not. No,
I don't
absolutely.
think we're coming across that way. I think it's just it's hard, right? It's hard to sometimes. I think sometimes when you say these things, it hits everybody on a different level, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, I guess so. I write a big will of work just for that reason. Yes, I mean, but you gotta think about that though. Like you would get that upset over there was no accident, there was no damage, there's no loss of money out of your checking account, and you're going to follow a person that you don't know about their background, and you're going to continue to push this issue in today's climate and what's going on. Like, to me, that's like really stupid. you know
That's part of it too, though. I think everybody's wound up so tight. Like, obviously things here in Canada are not going very well. Um, and I can, it kind of reminded me a couple times when I was in South America and walking around. You could just feel it in the air. Like people they're just fed up. But it's not going to take a lot for them to spark off. And I
and
think, I think
with the
we're
way
living
things
in,
I could
and
understand.
people are afraid. I think that's the other thing. It's like some people think that in order for them to, um, they got to make themselves look bigger so they don't get trampled on or whatever.
Yeah, he had somebody in the car. I don't know if he was trying to put a show on, but I'm just thinking, like, man, you're gonna do that to the wrong person one day, and they're not gonna be cool and collective like I was, and they're just going to rain hell on you, and over something that was like really not that big of a deal.
I saw a altercation between two people on a job site once where a guy was freaking out and he started waving his hammer around. And like generally the site was kind of loud when this was going on. And the guy was like, he had his hammer. He's like, you got a problem, I'll solve it. And what the guy didn't realize is the guy that he was talking to unclipped his knife from his belt. He had taken it out of his sheath and he kind of was like this, like kind of like telling the guy to calm down. But I knew that that person was going to get stabbed. It was like this close. Yeah, sometimes you're dealing with people who, you know, have that numbers gang kind of mentality that they don't actually care.
You're young and you just are angry, whatever, and you just do something like that, and then you pick an older cat who might have seen some things or done some things, and you open up a whole can of like blankety blank 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 blank, right? you know,
Yeah, you know what? I heard a saying recently, and I'm going to butcher it, but it's like
people.
uh, fish that swim around with a closed mouth don't get a hook in it. Um, you know, it's it kind of like reminds me of that.
One of my recent favorite phrases regarding may influence. TikTok dances for knife nerds. Thoughts, to be fair, Billy. So I'm just trying. One of my favorite phrases regarding influencers is, "Yeah, are you across the board, Kurt? Because some of these guys you're friends with aren't. I mean, I just wondering, are you across? I mean, I'm not disagreeing with your cliche there. I think it's kind of clever. I'm just wondering, though, are you across the board? I guess would be my first question. But yeah, I think it's neat, catchy. TikTok dances for knife nerds. Um,
Yeah, going back, it's just for me, it's all context and stuff that you're showing. Like when I see when they're talking knife flows and how you hook the back of the head and you're holding someone with a knife and all that, it's just
yeah, like you go here, and then you come up to here, and then you're gonna get here, and then you're gonna, and then like, well, what's this guy doing this whole time? Is he
yeah.
just
I always equate it, like I said before, it's like trying to put socks on a toddler. You have to leave the house at 8 a.m. and it's 7:58, and you got to get them dressed. It's not going to happen.
fair enough, Kurt? Yeah, I think it's great. Yeah. Hold on, let me just here talk to the crowd. I gotta get my son to these dogs.
Finally, he's gone. I don't know. I'm just hoping that this is just a trend that either I'm just a jaded martial arts person, which I think it's what it is mostly, but I'm seeing a lot of this stuff lately. Like it's absolutely crazy.
I am back. Yeah. I don't think it's gonna get better.
No, and I think we're also in an age now where like we've said this a million times. Martial arts instruction before was by a select few. It wasn't by masses, and now everybody
Mm,
is like crazy instructor. Sorry, someone is trying to say hi to me.
the mascot.
There you go. What's your take on all this?
My God. Well, Renee. I mean, yeah, it's just
What are you doing?
I just find it healthy, because you can't. In other words, it's irrational. Like if I was going to get mad at people, that's irrational because they have the freedom to post and do what they want. So it's irrational for me. So for far as like, I guess I don't want to say mental health. That's a little extreme, but maybe not to be distracted. I just don't. I don't scroll down the
It's
walls really
I
anymore.
always like when people who, like, for example, like we were talking about before, who they'll start commenting on somebody for having a specific skill set and they don't have it, but they're still willing to give their 2 cents in. Like I remember watching an instructor zero video,
Mm.
and people's like that guy it would never work in real life, and this, that, and the other. And then I watched the guy shoot 5 targets in a matter of seconds with the sights removed off his pistol. That's pretty friggin' impressive.
So it sounds like
Um,
you're being
so yeah, or some of the drills that he does, and it's like people say, "Oh, that wouldn't work in real life." That dude can shoot,
Oh, I'm sure. No, I've heard. I
and
mean,
and I'm pretty sure that
but I've heard
his
good
muscle
things.
memory is at the point where he doesn't have to think about it.
Mm. Yeah, no, I mean, he's got to be doing something right. I mean,
Yeah,
right? He's never talked to him. I mean, I've heard things about him, and yeah, I heard he's yeah.
I don't think it's a question of whether someone has a right to teach the masses. It's why do you want to teach?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a metric, is there? I mean, maybe there is. I don't know. So when does the practitioner have the rights? I guess depending. Well, from an organizational structure, they get the green light from the Grand Poobah. I guess from an organizational structure, if you're not of an organization, if you're not part of one and you don't get the green light because there is nobody to give the green light to you, I don't know what the metric would be really. Yeah, I
Or
don't know.
why, like, why do you want to teach?
or why would well passionate? You want to convey what your journey to others. I mean, I can think of several reasons why you want to teach the mass. You like interaction with people. You like being part. You want to create a community. Maybe you're lacking one, so you want to create one. So I could definitely see the reasons why you would want to teach masses. Could be socialization. It could be you want to convey what you've learned. You feel you have something to offer.
All right, so here's something. How about this? You decide that you want to set up a class because you really want to have whatever. You want to have you want to have like-minded people around you, and you're the instructor. Guy shows up, who's better than you? Do you just say, "Here you go"?
I do, but yeah. So if I'm teaching knife, David Gould walks in. Hey, Guru Dave. Hey, man, it's great to see you here. I'm just gonna be over here. I'm just gonna jump in. You
Yeah.
know,
Well,
not even, you know.
like, and I'm not saying I'm perfect because I'm far, far from being perfect. But one of the reasons I started going back and teaching seminars wasn't because I did it for money, because God knows I don't think I've paid off a quarter of what I've made by teaching
Oh
or
God,
like
good,
that.
right?
But if again, if someone approaches me, like when I said I was done, I wasn't training anymore. Uh, my buddy Rob in Ottawa was like, "No, I think you got some stuff to offer. Why don't you come do a seminar?" And like we talked about it a bunch of times, and then I ended up going up, and then it became like a yearly thing. But I did it not because I thought I was some great instructor. I just loved hanging out with those guys.
See, yeah, right. See, there was a socialization aspect and a brotherhood and a friendship, right? Yeah.
And and I think um, it was it was a bit of an ego boost when people overseas started calling me, asking me if I want to go teach there and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But I was doing it for fun. Like if I went there and I realized it wasn't fun, or if it was just going to be like I got to
Yeah.
put on an act, or I got to teach the same shit every single seminar, then I know I'm doing something wrong. Then it's not worth it. It's not- like
I don't like
you and I
training.
both, I think everybody who's watching this knows somebody who will come through town teaching a seminar, and 8 months to a year later they come back and teach the same stuff
Uh,
again.
that's not good. Yeah, yeah. Good point. Did Roger and Nick came to my class? I would hand. Yeah, exactly, man. You just hand it right. Yeah, right.
If they wanted to, yeah, like
Yeah,
I
or
would.
unless they say, "Hey, no, look, I want to observe you." Yeah, but at least as a
Well, I
respectful.
remember when you were here, there were some other people who were high ranked and whatever. I don't even remember what stuff they were teaching. But you're like, hey, we don't always have an opportunity to get together like this. I wouldn't mind if this guy had taught for a half an hour or an hour or whatever it was.
I did
So,
that with. I did that the second time with uh, with Tim. He showed it, and the first time I did it with Chris Anderson with Medusa. If
so
somebody's in there,
yeah.
I'm just as a professional courtesy, I'm gonna if somebody's there and they came, I say, hey, look, why don't you show some of your? I always do that. I just think it's a nice gesture. It's inclusive. People see that. I just think I think it's just good all the way around, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's, again, to the what we were speaking about earlier, it's different if someone shows up as an instructor and starts, you know, whipping their dick around and saying, "Oh, this is what I do, and this is let me show you," and then like stops the class and does that. That to
That,
me, I guarantee you that is the best way to get on my wrong side.
anybody's wrong side, I think, for that matter. There's a guy who I know who's done that. I don't know if he still does it. Hopefully he doesn't. But
What's his name?
no, by the way, what's his name and what state is he
What does it rhyme with?
in? Oh boy, I respect them what they would bring. Yeah.
And
So
also, I gotta say this for me, there's been a few times where like if Philip wasn't, I remember when I was teaching at like a gathering seminar at Philip's place. I would ask Philip, like, how would you deal with this?
Mm.
Right? Just to give a different perspective, because I tend to be more on the, we're going headfirst into this wall. We don't need to. I'm not into the sidestepping. I kind of like the very direct approach,
Yeah, I like
and
the my heads are ramming.
so does Philip. But he has a way of kind of
Well, I think
sidestepping a few times.
absolutely, yeah. I think it's just good all around. You know what I mean? If they're there and they came to support you, give them a little, let them show their stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Shit, man. I
Uh,
remember there's people that I know quite well who they wouldn't let you train with their instructor. They'd be like, "Yeah, this is my instructor, but if I find out you train with him, you can't train with me anymore." Like that stuff makes me laugh.
yeah, that's. I don't even know what that is.
There's some sickness in the martial arts world. I think it's been around for a long time too, with people who take advantage of their position as an
Uh,
instructor. Like there's,
Social media is making it more prolific because now you're on this grand stage, and a lot of people are attracted to drama.
yeah.
So so
Like I said,
now
I know quite a few people who use their position as a martial arts instructor to. God, I want to use the word I was thinking to almost like groom people into certain thought prompts.
yeah,
Or it's like, hey, I'm going to promote my martial art by having one of the gals in my class shake her ass on camera. It's like, whatever.
but and then or they'll do it and they'll form cliques, and then like the F, we're the elite, and you're not part of us because you're not elite. When really it's just a bunch of allies that they pick that there's going to be quid pro quo some point down the line. It's what I mean. So it's more a strategic alliance as opposed to like a group of elites. You know what I mean? So I see that happening. FMA discussion and all that. Okay. We actually had a guy turn his Medusa number because the other skull told him, yeah, I know.
Oh,
Yeah.
that guy's an idiot. You did yourself a service by taking that number back.
You know what? I have no issue. Even, I'm going to even, I'll bring light to this because I have no problem doing it. I've had two people leave WPM or not even join it because they were told by the other Piper faction that you cannot train be there if you're part of Medusa and all this. I mean, just like basically controlling your journey. But guess what? But now they let people in here, so they wouldn't even convicted enough to even stand on that. So it's just
It's Nigel and Lloyd and all these guys that actually had contact with some of these gangs when they were getting all this information. They obviously had some connections and got invited to speak to these people. I am I would be pressed to say that most people who talk about stuff like numbers gangs would do very well if they actually met those people in person. It's like, oh yeah, this is the way they think, and this is what we do, and this is what they do.
yeah. Uh, yeah. Who control mechanism? If you're, I mean, obviously there's an internal fear. You know what I mean? That you're going to lose students or there because if you feel good about what you do and all that, and you're confident in what you give, you wouldn't have that fear. And so I think that's a good part of it, Brian. Control mechanism for sure.
I think it's exposing the fact that you may not know as much as you say you do.
Yeah,
When people say, "Hey, you don't have to fight hard in order to learn how to fight, and you don't have to do that," those are people who don't like getting hit. Those are people who don't want to. Maybe like getting hit might be the wrong thing, but those aren't people who are not saying to themselves, "I want to be honest with myself."
yeah,
You know, I might go fast down the street in my car, but unless you're willing to go on a track and go full out, um, you know, you're not a race car driver.
That's a whole, in this day and age. I mean, I tell you, that never works out well. The moment you put restrictions on the student body that what they can't do, I'm going to tell you, it's going to come back to bite you. And number two, you'll end up changing that. I've seen it so many times where and as time goes on, they don't even continue to enforce that, and so therefore it even makes you wonder like why they did in the first place. Obviously, it's a question of they couldn't have been that convicted, you know. Um, or I mean, monetary fear, a question of themselves and what they have to give. I mean, obviously they're
And
questioning their own identity.
I know a couple of guys that left a particular school to go train with Arlen in New Mexico, and then the guy barred them from the school that they were originally training in, and then barred all. He told all of his students, "You are not allowed to speak to these people." And I knew the guy at the time, and I was like, "You're out of your mind. Like, if you think you're going to tell me what to do, you're out of your mind."
Yeah, no, it never goes well. It just never. And you're going to get the core people there are just going to be in line and just do because they're already
Well, some people do it out of fear. Oh, I get kicked out of the super special club, right, or whatever. It's like
or I mean whatever you've been told, but I just never seen that work.
there was a Wing Chun school in Ottawa, and the guy who ran it was a bit of a, I don't know, psychopath is probably the best way for me to put it. And when one of his students would leave, he literally like put like a hit on him through his students. Like if you see so and so, let him know it was the wrong thing to leave, sort of thing.
Of
And
course,
and some of his students like went out and tried to pick fights with people who they shouldn't have picked fights with. It was nuts. Like here you got, some dude who's never fought a day in his life, and he thinks that it's his obligation to his instructor to go and punch this person out. Or the the PTK guys who were talking to some of the higher ups, saying they got to put a hit on me because I was disrespecting Leo, and they felt that I should die because of it. It's like it's absurd, but they
yeah,
said
that
it. But they said
worked
it.
well in the long run. Um, I've never seen that work out well in the long run. Yeah, but I got a jet soon. Well, this is good. I mean, we caught up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
No, no, no. So next we got to secure a. We got to secure somebody for next week.
So I have somebody in mind as well. His name is Martin Duncan. He's been in the martial arts world for a long, long time, but
Yeah.
he's also an author. He does a lot of like comic books and stuff like that.
Okay. Neat. Yeah.
He'd be a cool guy to chat with. He's also
Sure.
has a podcast. He does something called the Fastball Special. We
Okay.
actually he has different comic book artists. They have a chat, and I guess this is where I troll them. They have a chat and they talk about what they do, and they do drawings, and at the end they auction everything off and give money to charities.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So he's a super cool cat.
no,
I'd like to
talk.
have him on.
No, no. See
Um,
if he wants to come on next Wednesday.
yeah, yeah. But you also got Adam. I've chatted with Adam. He wants to come back on as well.
Bring him back. Yeah.
And I think we need to get Brent back on. Because
I did offer it to Brent, and he's just waiting things to cool down a bit, and he said he would do it.
because I've noticed, my swearing is down about 80%, and it's kind of starting to bother me.
I think I think the glowing effect of myself on you has just been prevalent. I think and so I would just embrace it.
Well, with all the drinking you're doing, I just don't want to upset you by swearing.
It's okay, but the most importantly is that despite my drinking and they're
Or if
not
I do
controlling
this, here, watch.
your your profanity has gone down into
Well, you know what
uh,
also helps is I don't. Uh, my kids come back from piano and everything else like around the time we start, and literally right now they're about 10 feet away from me. So
that would be
whenever I do let a couple of swear words go by, I see this out of
yeah.
the.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. No. Yeah. Talk to him. Talk to him. Let's get next week.
Yeah, yeah, and the idea we had a while back, and I've spoken to both of them, and they're into it. Is both Arlen Sanford and Eric Knaus, like they're actually kind of interested in doing
We can
a
do it.
like a fight breakdown where
I
we
would. No, we could do if it's going to be stick. I would. We could even maybe do that in FMA discussion.
cool. Yeah, yeah,
We would
yeah,
get more audience because it would be FMA related. But yeah, talk to them. I definitely would do that. Yeah.
yeah. So that I don't know how we'd work that out. Whether we just look at for some random videos, or if we have people send us videos.
People submit. I'm going to have to save them, download them, and pull them up. It can be done. I've done it before.
Hmm.
But yeah, it definitely some legwork, but can be done.
Is this better if we just like upload it to a YouTube channel and just get the
No,
link?
you can't pull the YouTube anymore because of copyright. I cannot pull up any YouTube channels videos anymore.
Really?
No, it sucks because I used to put music. No, they changed that. So what has to happen, they're gonna have to send to me. I'm gonna have to download them, and then from my save, I can pull them up. But it works. It's fine. But YouTube cannot pull any vids from YouTube anymore.
Do you know how to get videos off of YouTube so you can save them? Because I have like
Yeah, you
I'm not kidding.
gotta.
I have a couple hundred fight videos on there, and I don't have a
Yeah,
copy myself.
there's a way of doing it. I have to look at. Yeah, I think I did it once or so, but yeah, you could definitely do it. But I mean, yeah, talk to those guys and all that. But yeah, just see who wants to do next Wednesday. But we could definitely do it for sure.
Sounds like a plan.
Awesome. Well, hey, good catching up.
Yeah, man.
And I'm going to try to keep.
Yeah, and thanks guys for listening to my rant. And I just want to make sure like these are my opinions. And Dean's been drinking, so we got to be careful what we say. But yeah,
Imagine if I wasn't drinking.
oh wow! Imagine if I was.
Imagine if you were drinking and if I. All right, I'll be in touch.
All right, take it easy.
All right, guys, that wraps up episode. I think it was 42. Anyway, so who's coming up on the discussion? I got to reach out. Ace Ramirez. I got to just set up a thing out of New Jersey. And you just heard Renee. Somebody will be on next Wednesday. But as always, you will see it posted on FMA Discussion, the pin post. So you'll just check that out and you'll know who's coming up and when, and who, where, and all that good stuff. All right, folks, thank you for jumping in, and I will see you guys next time.